It's 10 o'clock at night. I'm tired. I'm also annoyed because I've been playing Elden Ring. I started fighting an optional boss called Rakshaha, whatever the hell her name is. Ghost girl with big sword. Started fighting her, started getting annoyed, so I thought I'll record this and then might be able to use it for something later. Then I got so annoyed by my attempts that I was recording, I decided I needed to talk about this and upload a video like straight away. I'm probably going to regret this in the morning. Sod it. We're just going to go with it. This boss is a microcosm of problems that I've had with the DLC. I played through the entire DLC on my first character, which was a shield bro. Basically, strength, encumbrance, and health. Turns out health is one of the stats that isn't touched by the Scudder tree what's-its, so yeah, it was a good idea to bump up health. Anyway, I went through it on my shield bro, and I was like, yeah, this is alright. It's kind of annoying in places, but it's alright. Game's alright. I'm now going through it on my Arcane. On my Arcane character. And oh my god. Is it a very, very different experience. Suddenly having to dodge everything is just a pain in the arse. I've actually, in this video right now, you can probably see that I'm using Bloodhound Step rather than the dodge. I'm using PC, keyboard and mouse, which apparently causes issues. I've seen some videos where they say the keyboard actually adds like a couple fraction of seconds delay on the dodge. So, yeah, you get handicapped for using PC. Anyway, but I've found Bloodhound Step is just a requirement for so many bosses, like the hippopotamus boss. You can't. I just struggled to avoid getting hit by that thing until I started using Bloodhound Step, and then it's like, oh wow, I can actually not get hit. But that's one thing about the DLC. The fact that it just builds on things that are already wrong with Elden Ring, such as multiple hits that just keep on going and keep on going. So you dodge in, but then he's like, okay, so which hit am I supposed to be dodging here? Is it this one, the third one, the fourth one, the 17th one? Speaking of which, watching the video now, I'm seeing Raka, whatever the hell her name is, doing her special, which you can do once you get her sword. But 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. On that last hit, 6. That last hit shouldn't have hit me. That move she does there is she can't be staggered out of it. So I've got that big hammer that has Scarlet Rot on it, which doesn't affect dead people, obviously, makes sense. But it's a bloody great big hammer, and I'm fighting a human-sized enemy. I should be able to smack her in the face and stagger her. And yet, when she's doing that, she can't be staggered, she can't be interrupted, she can't be stopped. Which, if it was just another human player with human health, then potentially I could just sort of try and power through what she's doing in an attempt to just kill her while she's doing this uninterruptible move. Which is a thing that happens to you. You might not be able to be staggered whilst doing something, but your health is such that if you do it for too long, you will just die on your feet. But this boss has so much more health than you do. So you can't do that. You will die. And then on top of that, normally you have stamina. You have a mana pool. Mana pool? FP, whatever. A blue bar. You have a blue bar and a green bar which get depleted when you do actions. Apparently, this human boss with a human ability that does quite a lot of damage and prevents her from being staggered, she doesn't have either of those bars. And as we saw in the video just now, she can just keep doing it over and over. Why? Why, Elden Ring? Why did you do it? From Software, why did you do that? A boss normally has like a setup so that it does a big move, something ridiculous that you have to avoid. But then generally speaking, there is like a rest period, a very small rest period as it turns out in these games. But there is some kind of a rest period after a bloody great big move that allows you to counter. But with this boss, there isn't that. It's just not. They've got a player move applied to a boss that doesn't have the same limitations, and it causes some massive imbalancing. I might actually be on my final attempt here, because my final attempt, the winning attempt, was the one where she didn't use that move until right at the very end. And once that happens, then suddenly the fight becomes a bit more balanced, a bit more fair. So I'm hitting and getting hits in, but then she's hitting me, and all back and forth, we'll get my spacing, dodging. And then if you notice, I'm doing the same thing over and over again. I'm just hitting with the hammer and just... I discovered that if I... Oh, there's the move. Oh, I got hit. Oh, just dodging out the way. And now she stops. Excellent. Wonderful. Now we can go back to an actual fight. But if you notice that, 1, 2, 3, 4. There you go. I discovered I could just do that with the hammer, and she wouldn't be able to move away. Which again, just... Either you can actually dodge out the way of that during that combo, and the NPC just didn't know how to. Or, if I was doing that to another player, the player wouldn't be able to get out the way of that. In which case, what the hell from Software? But like I said, this is a microcosm of issues. Because Elden Ring as a whole has a lot of issues. But I've discovered in playing the DLC, Shadow of the Erd Tree, both in my Shield Bro and now in my Arcane Bro, that there are some big issues with the DLC, specifically the DLC. I've noticed a lot of bosses, a lot of NPCs have attacks that seem to be specifically designed to hit you before you finish healing. So they will make a strike, you dodge out the way, you press heal. The boss will then recover, charge at you, or cover the distance between where they are and you, and then hit you just as your character finishes its animation. Meaning, at the very last second where you can't do anything, you will lose all the health you just regained. And that seems to happen with so many every NPC, I was going to say every boss, it's every NPC, it feels like. Every single one is like, oh, I've now dodged out the way, I can now recover. And then they will hit you just as you finish recovering, nullifying your recovery. That's one thing. There's loads of other things that people have talked about, like particle effects and whatnot. But then there's this one. Boredom. I can't really stress enough how boring some of these fights are. The Putrescent Knight comes to mind. Oh my god. On my Arcane Bro, yeah, he's... Oh my, it's just... And not only is it boring, I can't hit the guy because he just keeps... Again, it's an Elden Ring issue that people have complained about, and people who play the game and like the game and think the game's great brush this off. So I'll be really interested to see what they say about Putrescent Knight, because the amount of clips that I've got where I'm trying to hit him, but I'm also having to dodge him because he'll run away, come back, and then as he comes back he starts attacking. But he doesn't stop. So he'll attack, I'll dodge, I go to hit, he's already gone. And the entire fight is simply waiting for him to come back. Oh, it's just so... like the whole thing is just like he'll do his maneuver where he leaps into the air, then he'll fly away, the horse comes at you, then he'll fly back, then the horse comes at you, he'll fly back, then he'll get back on his horse. And theoretically that gives you enough time to go over to there and hit him. But literally like, hit him once or twice and then he's off again, or you're having to dodge him again. And that's the entire fight, is he runs at you, you dodge, you try to hit, probably miss, stand around waiting for him to run around in a circle and then come back and do that again. And you just keeps on going and going and going. You're just standing there waiting, going, when do I get a hit? When do I get to do something other than dodge? And then of course there's his transition bit where you get to about half health. The first time he did it, I didn't know what the hell was going on. He rises up, so you're targeting him and the camera points up towards him, and then I died. I didn't know what the hell happened. So I did it again, I died again. The third time, I disengaged the camera and looked around, and that's when I saw the fire running across the floor, which you don't see when you're targeting him because the camera's pointing up at him, so you can't see the floor. Who designed that? Of course, then you have the bit where after you've done that bit with the fire going across the floor, potentially 2 or 3 moves later, he'll do the fire coming from behind you, which again is a DLC thing. There's at least 2 bosses that I can think of off the top of my head that do moves that attack you from behind. There's the final boss does it with the blood fire move, but then the Putrescent Knight does it as well. He'll hold his hand up, you're wondering what he's going to do, then suddenly fire hits you from behind. Who designed Elden Ring, and basically the SoulsBouRing series, the SoulsBouRing as I'm starting to call it, the SoulsBouRing series as a whole is designed as a fixed camera one-on-one fight for everything. That's how the fighting mechanics are designed. So to then not only have multiple bosses, which the game is notorious for, again, badly designed multiple bosses, but now they seem to be implementing attacks that come at you from behind. And you get the ones with the skinny Godskin Noble? No, Godskin Apostle. He has the move where he sticks his hooked sword out, like he thrusts it at you, and then he pulls it back because it's like a scythe. And you're like, okay, so that comes from behind, but you can see it. You know he's just thrust it forward, and he gives you the tail of his arm being twisted before he pulls it back. So at least there's a tell. You can go, oh, he's about to do that. Kind of like Mesmer has a really good move where he does his like multiple thrust, but it's not an actual multiple. It is a multiple hit, but if you dodge it, you've dodged it. It's not like if you dodge too early, you're going to get hit by other. If you dodge it, you've dodged the entire thing. It's basically one hit disguised as a multiple hit. But then that leads into his ground pound of the spears that come up. But he always, that's his combo. Well, multiple thrust, ground pound, spears out the ground. That makes it really good. A really nice tell and something that you can get used to. Same with the Godskin Apostle like thrust and hook move. But when you have stuff like Consort Radahn doing his big sweep with his sword, and then you just hear bang, and then you fall over like towards him because there's an explosion that's gone off behind you, which you can't see because it's behind you. And you're like, okay, so you just look out for what he does. What is it that he does? He swings his sword. Oh, wonderful. So out of the 20 million times that he swings his sword during the fight, you've got to look out for the right one that actually causes an explosion. How do you find that out? Well, if you're standing far away enough, or if you've got the camera and you just look away from him for a second. Oh, look away for him from a second. In a fight where every like fraction of a second counts. Who designed this boss? Same thing with Putrescent Knight. You've now got this move where he'll do something and then the flames come from behind you, and you've now got to work out which of his moves is the one that causes the flames to come from behind you. And then you've got to watch out for that. And then you've got to time. But you're no longer... Again, this is something a lot of people complained about. You're no longer looking at bosses and working out, okay, so that's the tell for this, that's the tell for that. This is the thing I've got to watch out for. When they do this, I do that. No. No longer is that the case. A boss will raise their arm up, and instead of naturally reacting to what they're doing, you're timing what they're doing. You're sort of looking, okay, they've raised their arm up. In about 5 seconds, I will have to dodge. I'm not looking for the thing that they are doing to tell me to dodge. I'm timing it. Which is not the same thing. You see an arm raise up, you move out the way for it when it comes down. You don't wait for the arm to come down, by then it's too late. Instead you're trying to time it, and that's where the problems start. And the same thing's happening here. There's an attack coming from behind you, so you've now got to work out what they're doing, and then timing it to... it's just so unnatural. And again, it just comes into, I'm no longer enjoying the fight. I'm no longer interacting naturally with the fight. I am now, instead, treating it like some sort of algorithm. And this is the big problem with the DLC as far as I'm concerned. I'm no longer homogenizing with the game. I'm no longer playing the game. I'm timing things. I'm treating it like a computer program rather than being immersed. That's it. That's the word I'm thinking of. I'm no longer immersed in the experience. I'm no longer fighting some eldritch creature. Some esoteric horror. The Putrescent Knight apparently has a bit of a story to it. And the idea of fighting some woeful knight who couldn't fully be absorbed into the Erd Tree and instead melded with the putrescence, as it's named, of the graves and turning into this creature who then finds a purpose in guarding yet another creature who is discarded in the graves, that being Saint Trina. That's a great story. I wish they presented that in some sort of way into the gameplay. But it would be even the least bit wonderful to then experience fighting this creature, this knight, this guarded being, this creature that has a person who has a story behind them. It would be great to feel immersed in fighting this creature, as opposed to, okay, the game is doing something. This is a mechanic. And to top it all off, it's done in the most boring way possible. I once had an idea of having a fight with a boss who can kill you in one move, and the entire fight is you dodging for ages and ages and ages, and then you get a hit in, but your hits do quite a lot of damage. But then his hits do a lot of damage. So it's like almost like a real fight in that way, in that both you and your opponent can do each other in really easily. So that's like the majority of the fight is just you avoiding damage and trying to do your one big hit. And I thought that would be a great idea for a boss, just you and the boss like going backwards and forwards, like avoiding each other's moves, and you finally work out the best way to like catch them off guard, or the thing that you need to do to get your like 3 or 4 moves in to finish them. Then I'm fighting the Putrescent Knight, and I'm starting to wonder whether that is a good idea for a boss fight, because the entire fight is me dodging and then dodging and then dodging and then waiting, dodge, wait. Even describing it now is making me feel bored. And I think that was part of the problem. The first time I fought him on my shield bow, where I could hit him because I just held my shield up and just stabbed him over and over again whilst he's hitting me. So then at least I could actually get my hits in. But with a character who has to dodge, suddenly this fight becomes even more boring. On my shield bro, I actually fell asleep trying to fight him because I was so bored. At least this time on my arcane character I was prepared, and even then I was still bored out of my mind. It took me so long to defeat him because I'm just bored waiting for him. Eventually I had to end up summoning just so he would be distracted and kept in place long enough for me to hit him a few times. That's the entirety of the... and so many other bosses like that. Bale I did actually defeat one-on-one. Ended up having to drop my shield bro character for just going with an ultra great sword. Got a really cool hit on him actually, I think. But yeah, the fact that I couldn't shield bro that character is really weird. And again, just the whole runs away, swoops in for a single hit, moves away again. It was a problem with the Elden Ring main game. It was something that people complained about, and then it was pushed back from the rest of the community. The DLC comes out, and suddenly that problem seems to have expanded multiple fold to the point where I'm now bored. Could you have ever said that about other previous installments in the SoulsBouRing series? That you're having a fight with a boss and you're bored. I need to go to bed.